Welcome to Real Estate in Real Time. I'm your host, Woody Zimmerman, here with Mark Skibowski of RE/MAX Lakes. Welcome to the show.
Here we are. Good morning.
Yeah, and good morning. And we're going to talk about selling in a seller's market, which this seller's market has been going on for, longer than what I would have predicted.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot longer than anyone would have predicted. Mm-hmm. Again, to start the year, we try to be conservative, right?
Yeah.
Well, we may see some improvement, but it'll probably be a little off of last year. And that is not the case. Last week we talked about, we did the market update. The county is about even year over year.
Yeah.
But it is still a seller's market. What's that mean? Inventory is low. Buyers are at a disadvantage when it comes to that. Mm-hmm. And you have to move very quickly if you're a buyer. You've probably got to move faster than you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
In order to buy.
Sure. So, you have to be decisive.
Yeah, you do.
You do.
You do. And, while it may be a seller's market, it is not a price it to the point to where, hey, I'll get $1 million for this $150,000 house.
Right.
Right. So a seller's market does not give you a license to way overprice and expect that you're going to sell your home. Mm-hmm. There is still some value in pricing properly and in preparing your house properly. So, obviously when somebody comes to me and wants to sell their house, our objective in signing a listing contract with them is to maximize their return, which means get them the most that we can to sell that property. But notice I said to sell that property. Mm-hmm. I didn't say to list that property. It's to get the property sold. Mm-hmm. And if that's your intent as a seller, market conditions are great right now. If you really want to sell and you price it properly, have the condition good and all of those things that go into it, which we'll talk about in a minute, your property should sell. Mm-hmm. It should sell. But if you way overprice, don't be surprised if you're going to be sitting on the market a lot longer than normally. Mm-hmm. And if you can wait to receive those proceeds, you can wait to sell that house, and that's your strategy, okay. But in general, if your objective is to get your house sold, you still need to evaluate, do that CMA, market analysis, evaluate and compare your house to others that have sold and others that are on the market and price it competitively. Okay. You still need to price competitively. There's a lot of different strategies to that. Underprice and hopefully you get a lot of offers and the price goes up. I'm still that conservative accountant, I want to take, let's look at the numbers, let's be real, and try to maximize your return and ultimately get that property sold. Okay. So in preparation for that, there's some things that you can do as a seller to try to, to receive those maximum dollars. And, my standard theme is the nice shiny penny sells. So have it in great condition. Have your home in great condition. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying go through and do a massive remodel just prior to putting it on the market, because if you listen to past shows, you're not going to get that return. A kitchen upgrade, maybe 85% of what you spend, you get back. Okay. Bathrooms, similar, 75 to 80% on what you get back. Those two rooms are key pieces in selling your property. Mm-hmm. But there are some things you can do that are inexpensive from a seller's standpoint to help maximize and sell more quickly. Okay. Paint the front door. New coat of paint if it's paintable. Yeah. If you can paint it. If you got a wood door, I'm not saying paint, stain. Mm-hmm. Make it look good. It's that curb appeal, right? So a little bit of fresh paint on the exterior of the house, landscaping, keep the yard mowed. What's the first impression that buyers get when they pull up to your house?
Well, so I've only bought two homes in my lifetime, and it's always been, if I could see myself walking in the front door with my wife and kids, if I could see myself walking in that door or like playing in that front yard, and you want an inviting front door, you want an inviting look, the curb appeal to that property. So that is very, very big. Clean it up. I remember my neighbor 2 doors down. This made me so mad because he never trimmed that front bush until the day he put his house on the market. I'm like, really? Come on, man. You can't keep it clean,
You can't keep it clean while you're living here?
Yeah, but
it's little things like that. True. It's the little things that will help sell your home. So that first impression when a buyer pulls up and into the driveway or parks on the street and looks at your house, mm-hmm. What's the impression that they get? If the landscaping's overgrown, We get into the fall of the year, if the leaves, are covering the yard and it looks like nothing's been maintained.
Yeah.
Eh?
Well, yeah, if they don't take care of that, what else are they not taking
What else
care
are
of
they not
on the
taking care
inside?
of? Absolutely. So that little bit of elbow grease, on the outside can really make a difference as far as that first impression goes. Inside, when I mentioned kitchen remodels, and I get that question a lot, what should I do to the kitchen? Pulls on the cabinetry in the kitchen, just change out those 1978 antique, weird looking handles that are on your cabinets with some updated, nickel, platinum, whatever that is, and they're not that expensive to buy, and they're relatively easy to install. That really changes the look in a kitchen. If you do just that little bit, a coat of fresh paint in the house. Now, I'm not saying go spend $20,000 to have the interior of your house painted, but if you've got those super dark rooms, the burgundy walls, which are really popular at one time, you got some wild colors in rooms, neutralize those colors, a little bit of paint, and you'd be amazed at what that does to that buyer's impression on your house. It looks updated as they walk in the door, and that update makes the buyers feel like it could be their house.
Yeah, well, we just went through the here at the radio station, just updated the kitchen, painted just the front of the cabinets, and put down a new countertop, and it looks like $1 million.
Yeah.
But it was only a couple of grand. I
Right.
mean, it really was not.
Makes a big difference.
Yeah, it was not that expensive, and it looks like a brand new kitchen now.
Right. Good for you. Well. So, I guess the next thing that we can talk about when we come back from the break is, some other things that a seller can do to help make their house more attractive for buyers. So let's take the break.
All right, you're listening to Real Estate in Real Time. Welcome back. You're listening to Real Estate in Real Time, and talking about selling in a seller's market, and just going over some of the tips that you can make your property look better. We talked about landscaping on the outside. Talked about fresh coat of paint on some places on the inside. And it doesn't mean the entire house, and it doesn't mean you have to spend $20,000 to totally redo the entire inside, but just a few places here and there, like the kitchen. That's a good one to touch up on some paint and make it look more inviting.
Make it look more inviting, a little bit more modern. All these tips are great. Your house has to look great. Back in the day, it was location, location, location when it came to real estate. I remember that as a kid, right? Location, location, location. Well, you know what? Now it's price, location, location, location.
Yeah, right.
So the first tip that I would give is price your home correctly to sell. There's no need, again, as we talked about, pricing it way out of the ballpark. We all want to get the most we possibly can. If your intention is to sell, price it correctly.
Okay.
That's an important piece. Second thing is make it available for buyers to see. Always be ready to show. If you're living in that house, and most of us are, if it's not a second home, a vacant home, make sure that it's available to buyers to get in and see. You'd be surprised the number of sellers that, I only want to show it Friday afternoon from 4 till 7, and then Saturdays we can't show, Sundays we can't show, no evening showings. We see all these notes when it comes to agents. You don't see them from a consumer standpoint, but we see them from an agent standpoint. It's pretty frustrating when a buyer sees a house, as hot as the market is, right? As hot as the market is, they want to get in there right away, and the seller says, no showings for 4 days. Right? It just hit the market. What's the point of putting it out there? Well, we know what the point is to drum up activity. And it's marketing. I get it from a listing agent standpoint. I'm getting activity on this house. I'm drumming up interest. But it doesn't help from a buyer's perspective. And quite honestly, sellers, you kind of tick buyers off. Ultimately, if they're going to buy, they're going to buy. But why start the relationship with, I couldn't get in for a week in order to see this house? The thing we talked about just a bit ago, first impression is the only impression. Make sure that your house is ready to show at all times, that you've done everything outside. Make it available for those buyers. Take the home out of the house. The pictures on the fridge, while they're great, Johnny and Julie's artwork on the fridge. Now, I'm not saying you have to do this, but we've all seen the refrigerators covered with artwork, right? Move my hands like people can see that. But it's covered with artwork. For a buyer, that doesn't make it attractive to them. And they're going to focus on looking at those pictures, not looking at your house. So, again, I always tell sellers, do what you want to do. These are suggestions, not gotta-haves. But I'm trying to tell you the things that will help buyers buy your house more quickly.
I mean, just kind of declutter is like, that's huge. And
Absolutely.
That's a part of the decluttering.
It is. Clean that up. Family pictures, it's great. You've seen the I Love Me walls where you go in and there's 400 pictures on the wall.
Yeah,
It's
right.
all family stuff. I'm not saying take all of those down, but if it appears overwhelming, I'm going to suggest that to a seller. Maybe take half of those down. Let's have 200, not 400 on the wall. That's obviously an extreme example, but it's for illustration purposes only.
Yeah, right.
So,
Yeah.
the kitchen's important. That's what will sell your house a lot of times. Is there counter space? The cabinets look in good shape. Updated appliances, those kind of things. The kitchen will help you sell more quickly. On the flip side of that, if you're getting ready to sell, don't do a lot of upgrades because you're not going to see that money come back. Get it ready, but don't make major investments in that house before you put it on the market. If you're doing it because you want to live there for a long time, feel free. But don't do it and expect to get a dollar for dollar return on that.
Okay.
And I guess the last thing I'd say when it comes to getting it ready is, if you've got pets, be ready to move them out. If you're gonna have your house listed, have a plan to take care of your pets, because buyers don't want to be talking to your pets and hearing them barking at them or whatever while they're there looking.
Right. It just that just becomes annoying and so forth. All right. Well, I've always heard that about have like baked cookies or whatever, so you got that fresh smell, and so
it's important, and we as agents love that.
Mm-hmm.
Which,
right.
in the
like
wintertime, I put on my winter 15, and it comes from selling houses with cookies in it. Let's put it that way.
And a glass of milk, like
and
Santa
a glass
Claus.
of milk right next to it. Yeah,
like Santa Claus.
Yeah.
All right.
One other thing that's out there, and it's due to COVID, so this pandemic thing.
Yeah.
Selling today is a little bit different than it was in the past. If you have the potential fear, or you've got some health risks, you're in that category where the risks are higher, leave some hand sanitizer at the front door, leave notes, tell your listing agent, these are the things I would like you to do. I want the buyers to wear masks when they come in, but just be prepared for that. Buyers aren't always cognizant, so convey your concerns and fears to that listing agent so they can help accommodate those when it comes to showings. You still need to let people in. People aren't going to buy just by looking at the virtual tour. They still need to come in, and as agents, we try to minimize that. We want to bring the decision makers. We don't want to bring 15 people to go look at the house on the first go around.
Yeah.
And we're bringing the decision makers in with us. But if you've got any concerns as it relates to COVID, you can help with that. If you want them to wear booties, have them available. If you want them to wear gloves, have them available. If you want them to sanitize, have hand sanitizer available. It's just a little different now than what it has been in the past.
Right, makes sense. All right, your contact information.
Sure, our website's lakes-realtors.com. Phone numbers 574-834-1233.
Okay, awesome. Great information. Selling in the seller's market. I can't believe that how hot this market just continues to be, but it does. And keep it hot. That's fine.
We're working on it.
Yeah, that's right. All right, very good. You've been listening to Real Estate in Real Time. Have yourself a wonderful weekend.